Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your cousin, Marvin Berry. Welcome back to the Frank James excruciating escapade. A question that comes up a lot that I see not only on my channel, but on other channels that do Myers-Briggs personality type related stuff is, what is the best match for my type? Specifically, I see a lot of people asking, what's the best match for an INFJ? What type is it? What works? Or people will ask specifically, what do you think about INFJ in this type? Or INFJ, how does that work? You're not going to like the answer. That's right, I'm hooking you up with the personality types you don't want to date. So come on over to frankjamesmatchmaker.com/discount for FJ Watchers 2016. But it's 2018. So I'm going to be focusing mostly on INFJ, but I think that will kind of illustrate maybe the broader thing if you're not INFJ. Plus you can see, does your type match with INFJ? It's so exciting. What's going to happen? So for an INFJ, the classic type that I see come up over and over and over again that people say, these types got to get together, is INFJ, ENFP. These matches all come down to the functions. That's what they are. INFJ and ENFP are interesting because their functions are in the same order, but like the mirror of each other. Meaning INFJ's first function is introverted intuition, ENFP's is extroverted intuition, INFJ's second one is extroverted feeling, ENFP's is introverted feeling, and so on and so forth. Oh, it's so cute. It's like they're made for each other. It's like, oh, cool. Sure, on paper, that maybe makes sense. Anecdotally, it seems to work. However, I don't see any reason why necessarily that has to be better than any other pairing. You'll also hear people say, well, you should generally just have another intuitive. So ENTP, you see a lot as a good match. On one online forum, I think I read someone said, ENTPs are the best because they don't have any feelings. That made me laugh. But I think what that person was getting at is maybe someone who is a thinker is going to be a little less volatile, which would be better for an INFJ, to have someone where there's not much turbulence going on. I've also seen ENFJ suggested as a good match for the INFJ because it's all the same functions, just slightly in a different order. So ENFJ goes extroverted feeling, introverted intuition, which is the opposite of the INFJ's first two functions. So it's sort of like, hey, we're playing with all the same cards, just in a different order. I don't know, it's funny because the trend is a lot of times you don't see sensing types being recommended as a good match for some reason. Then of course you also have people recommending, oh, INFP might be a good match because of the NF or another INFJ. Is that the holy grail? Is the holy grail of INFJ relationships to date another INFJ? So here's the answer you're not going to like, is that I don't think type matters that much when you're dating. I think it should be something maybe that you're aware of to help understand maybe why there are issues, but it's not something that you should be basing decisions on whether or not you date someone. You shouldn't go into a relationship thinking, oh no, this guy, he's got the wrong type, this ain't gonna work. But it might be good to be like, hey, we're having an issue here, why is that? Or, hey, things are going good, why is that? And then maybe you can relate it to a personality type. But the thing is, your personality type, the cognitive functions, don't really necessarily affect the things that make a relationship work. You might be tempted to think that it does because, you've watched my channel and you see a total stranger on YouTube who seems to have like the same thoughts that you do. That's what I read time and time again in the comments where people are like, oh my gosh, are you me? Get out of my brain. And no, I'm not you. And I'm not in your brain. Or am I? This sounds counterintuitive, but is relatability like that going to make you compatible in the long term? In the short term, it's of great relief to realize that you're not a freakazoid. You know what I mean? But over time, when you get to know someone on a deeper level, if you were dating another INFJ or someone with a very similar kind of experience, you're going to run into issues because you both have the same blind spots. You know what I'm saying? You both are you're gonna have proclivities toward the same issues and the same mistakes in communication. Whereas finding someone with a slightly different personality type, if we want to go in that realm, someone who has a few things about them that aren't relatable to you, can help keep you grounded, can help bring some objectivity to the relationship, because you realize you don't see things the same way. I see a lot of people in the comments section who talk about their spouse, and they say, my spouse is this type, and it's not a type that's ever recommended. They'll say, my spouse is ESTP or ISTJ or something, and it's like, those are not ever, you never see that as a good pairing for an INFJ, and they're like, it works great. Why does it work great? I don't know, but I don't think the personality type has anything to do with it. And the other thing is, personality type, you can have two INFJs that are not alike at all. And you can have one INFJ who's totally unhealthy and undeveloped in their functions, who's just super reliant on their introverted intuition, and that's it. And they haven't developed anything else. And then you can have really healthy ones who have worked on the other functions and who are more balanced, stable people. Those two INFJs are going to have very different experiences when they go out and interact with other people. So let's do what we always do on this channel, and let me talk about some of my personal experiences. So the last person I dated, I think, was an ISTJ. I could be wrong. I could have totally mistyped her. She didn't really have a lot of emotion. You know, it wasn't like turbulent. It wasn't a deep well of emotion. It didn't feel like I was being overwhelmed with that stuff, which was so nice. We didn't date that long, 9 months, but it was enough to kind of get to know each other on a deeper emotional level. And so it really meant a lot when I was able to see more into who she really was, and to have her open up, because she was a tough broad, if I may use some lingo there. She was not the kind of person that I would have ever approached in real life. It's just, through online dating, sometimes you match up with people you wouldn't normally match up with, and it worked. On paper, it didn't seem like it would work, but personality-wise, I felt like it worked great. It's weird, because she told me, and this is something that maybe INFJs are good at, is diving deep into another person and extracting things out of them. Because she told me, she was like, I've never been this open with anyone, and it's not like I tried to do anything. I was just like, I kind of just gave her the space to be herself and to open up. It kind of worked, I think, just because it was emotionally stable, which I always appreciate. That's just to illustrate to you that just because on paper a thing doesn't match up personality type wise doesn't mean anything. Of course, you could go out, I could go out and date another ISTJ, and it could be a total disaster, a total cluster bomb. Oh, and this is the biggest thing. Do you know what people bond over? It's not their personality type. What people bond over, I think, or what I bond over, are when you open up about your dark side and you connect over that, when you can relate over the crap in your life, Like, it's easy to find people where you relate over, oh, we like the same stuff, we have so much in common. But it feels, in a way, much more special when you open up to someone about your insecurities and they're like, yeah, I feel the same way. Or when you have, the same kind of dysfunctional patterns in your past and you can relate over that. And that's really why me and this last person I dated got together or worked together so well, I think, is because we just happened to click on those bad things in common. The things that we were afraid of sharing just happened to be so relieved to find out that we both had the same screwed up background. Not that screwed up, but you get insecure about stuff because sometimes people can't relate to it. You have an insecurity, you have something negative about you and you open up to someone and they don't relate. They don't know how to take it. They want to empathize, but they can't. So that was that relationship. And then my longest relationship was 5 years with someone who says she was an INFJ or is an INFJ. No clue if she and or I are typed correctly. I don't know. But let's just work on the assumption that we are the same personality type. And in many ways, we kind of like read each other's minds. It was kind of weird. So when you have the same personality type or similar personality type, I think there is sort of that synchronization of mind, perhaps. The kind of thing where we would just know, it was like we knew what each other was going to say. That was not grammatically correct, but you know what I'm saying. There were so many times where my mind, we would be in a situation and my mind would go to a joke that I would turn over in my mind and then not say because I didn't think it was funny enough. And then she would say exactly what I thought. And then I would say, I was going to say that, but I didn't because it wasn't funny. Maybe that's why we broke up. I think what went wrong with that one, well, first of all, kind of a communication breakdown, but also we just had the same blind spots and we just didn't want to talk about anything, and we both retreated and pulled back from each other. And when you are both defensively pulling away from each other, that's like a tailspin that's difficult to get out of, you know? It starts to feel like no one wants to begin to take the steps back because you're not sure if the other person's going to do it and you don't want to put yourself out there. There was also, you know, a bit of emotional volatility. It wasn't awful, but definitely when both of you are feeding off of each other's emotions, you can get into this negative loop sometimes where if one of you starts to go down, the other one is going to get dragged with you. And, you know, you can make the effort to pull each other out of it, but sometimes, I mean, you guys see how depressed I am. It's difficult. It's difficult when you start to get into that emotional cycle to get out of it. And of course, INFJs stay in things far too long, longer than they should. And so when you have two of them, you stay in perhaps twice as long as you should. I've only dated one extrovert, and it was for like 2 weeks. But there was something magical about it. I've heard people say you want to match kind of with someone who has the same level of extroversion as you do. But it seems to me like maybe you would want someone to kind of balance you out on the other end of the spectrum. I don't know, because I've heard it both ways. Some people are some introverts are tired out by their extrovert partners, and maybe I would be too. But for the very short time that I dated this extrovert chick, it was invigorating, and it felt kind of cool that an extrovert like was interested. I don't know what type she was. I don't think ENFP. It might have been, I think EXFJ. I'm just totally guessing. I have no clue, but definitely an extrovert. I feel like I've left a lot of things out of this discussion, and I apologize, but that's just my quick take on it, that I don't think that personality type really matters that much when you're dating, and you shouldn't be judging your dating partners. You shouldn't be making those decisions based on personality type. It's something useful to keep in mind. What matters far more is, can you connect with the person? And I believe that you can connect with anyone, with any personality type. It just is a matter of, do you have things that you can relate to about each other, and and can you get to a place where you allow each other to open up to each other on a deep, emotional level? And is the other person smoking hot? That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Give it a like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, give it 2 likes. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already and you want to get on the Frank James train. Until next time, stay cool and attractive.